Have you ever noticed that everyone seems to have some kind of real estate advice, whether it's your friends, family, mom, dad, the neighbor down the street that bought their house 20 years ago? Everyone has some piece of advice on how to properly buy or sell real estate. The thing is, most of the common things that people believe about actually buying or selling a home either aren't true anymore or they never have been. And they're costing a lot of people out there a great deal of money and a lot of opportunities as well. So in this video, I'm going to dive into the 10 biggest lies that I see happening regarding buying or selling a home, and more importantly, what is actually true instead. Lie number 10, we have all heard this one. Zillow says my home is worth X amount. Now, it seems to me lately, I've been running into a lot of people that understand that this number is complete BS. No one from Zillow has ever walked through their property. They don't have appraisers going in and snooping around in your home when you're on vacation. No one has walked through your property. There's no way that this is a proper valuation technique. And even Zillow has admitted that this number is off by up to 30% in many cases. Now, it's not always off, but if you're really looking for a proper market valuation of your home, here's what to do instead. You have the option of hiring an independent appraiser, of course, but what I would do is find the 3 highest rated real estate agents around your area and have them all do the following. Run a full comparative market analysis. And that analysis has to include, yes, visiting the home. I know you're all trying to avoid that, but they have to walk through the property. Local recent sales and why those sales specifically matter. Activity and estimated closing prices from similar pending properties that are either pending or under agreement. Recent open house and showing activity in the area from talking to other agents or actually attending those open houses themselves. Average days on market for that type of home. Then they should give you 3 separate pricing strategies and the likely market response to each of those price ranges. Finally, they should present a list of the highest return on investment improvements that you could make for your home, if in fact you're in a position to make those improvements, of course. We've been doing this for people that are considering listing in the next 3 to 6 months, and it's just given them so much more confidence and understanding how the market is likely to respond, and not just how it's going to respond, but why it is going to respond that way. And we're actually illustrating the data to back it up. Lie number 9 is if you do not have a buyer's agent, you're putting yourself at an advantage. Now, of course, nobody has to use a buyer's agent when they are purchasing real estate. I don't recommend going without one, but it's what there is to gain by not using one. That is the biggest lie I'm seeing misinterpreted by many of the home buyers out there. So what their mindset is, okay, if I'm not bringing an additional agent to the table to be compensated through the proceeds of the transaction, that's one less agent that has to get paid. That means more money in the seller's pocket, and my offer is going to appear stronger. Now, what they don't realize is that seller likely signed an agreement with their listing agent that said, if a buyer comes to the table unrepresented and I need to coordinate their portion of the transaction in addition to the listing portion and the marketing of the property, then I'm going to charge the seller that additional commission out of the proceeds myself instead of it getting paid to a buyer's agent. So by coming to the table unrepresented as a buyer, all you're doing is you're foregoing representation, and more money is going into the listing agent's pocket, and you're not changing the cost of the property, and you're not changing what's going in the seller's pocket either. Now, I'm not saying this happens every single time, but the vast majority of productive agents out there, the ones that are picking up all of these listings and actively transacting in the market regularly, they're not signing up to do work on behalf of the buyer at no additional charge. They're going to be compensated for their time, and they're working that into the agreement ahead of time. So you as a buyer have no control over how much money goes in the pocket of the listing agent because they signed that agreement months before you saw this property come to the market. Lie number 8 is that you should be working with an agent that sells the most in that specific town and knows that town like the back of their hand. Now, of course, there is some truth to this. You should be working with an agent that is familiar with the neighborhoods, familiar with the schools, the commute, and the local activities in the area. That said, that's not going to be what drives the best outcome for you. You're not hiring someone to win the local town trivia contest. You're hiring someone to maximize the outcome of the likely biggest financial transaction of your life. And experience definitely matters. These agents that have been doing this for decades sometimes, those can be great agents to work with, but only if that experience is paired with this willingness to evolve with the time, the technology, the tools that all of these agents have at their disposal now to maximize the outcome for their clients. So for the sellers out there, this is about strategic pricing, skilled negotiation, exceptional marketing, and understanding how buyers are making decisions in the market right now. Now, the great agents out there aren't just sticking a sign in the yard, taking some photos, and putting the property on the MLS. They are leveraging video, social media, digital advertising, email campaigns, AI, buyer demand tools, and their network in a layered marketing strategy to actually proactively create demand for the property. So when you're interviewing agents, don't just ask them how many homes they've sold, although that can be a great performance indicator. Ask them how they are currently marketing homes today. And if you're searching for a home or buying a home, this matters just as much. Most buyers don't end up searching in just one specific town or neighborhood. Budgets change, priorities change, search areas expand. So make sure you're working with an agent that can evaluate homes across multiple markets, negotiate effectively, and write winning offers, not just navigate street by street without using a GPS. Because local knowledge absolutely matters, but your outcome depends on a hell of a lot more than that. Lie number 7, as long as my home is on the MLS, the buyers out there are going to see it and they're gonna come running. Now, 20 years ago, this might have been the case. Today, not even close. The MLS is still extremely important, and as agents, we rely on it very heavily. Now, that said, there is still a lot more that needs to be done to proactively market a home than just listing it on the MLS. The MLS is not going to tell your home's story, and it's certainly not going to put the home in front of all of the possible buyers and their agents out there. So the most successful agents in the market aren't just slapping a home up on the MLS. They're proactively marketing the property. Now, I'm not going to go in the weeds on all of the possible ways that we market homes today. Check out the video that I did on interviewing listing agents. And my recommendation would just be open to interviewing at least 3 agents for listing your property. You want to see what the different possibilities are, all of the different things that are being done to proactively market homes. Because at the end of the day, anyone can just slap a listing up on the MLS after they get some listing photos taken by a professional photographer. But not every agent knows how to create demand. Lie number 6 is, I can sell my home myself. This one actually isn't a lie. People sell homes themselves every single year without hiring a real estate agent to help them list the property. Some of them even have great experiences doing it. Now, at the end of the day, we are not rocket scientists. A great real estate agent is a professional marketer, a negotiator, a project manager, a transaction coordinator, and a collaborator who helps guide one of the largest financial transactions that most people will ever make. Now, if you want to take on those priorities yourself, more power to you. Some people choose to paint their own walls, finish their own floors, because they'd rather potentially save some money instead of saving some time. Some people feel that exact same way about selling their home, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just know that the great real estate agents are out there doing this every day of the week. So if your property sells for less because it was priced incorrectly or marketed ineffectively or negotiated for poorly, that 2 to 3% that you were hoping to save on real estate agent commissions can disappear very, very quickly, especially when all of the buyers and the agents out there know your property is being marketed less effectively, and the for sale by owner process is slowly taking its toll on your sanity. So the question isn't really, can I sell my home myself? The question is really, am I going to end up with more money in my pocket when all is said and done? Lie number 5 is AI is replacing real estate agents. Now, AI is certainly changing the real estate industry. There is no question about it, but I don't think AI is replacing great agents. It might be replacing average or below average agents. So great agents today are using AI and the technology and tools we have at our disposal to do a number of different things. analyze market data, create better marketing, communicate more effectively, and just create a better overall experience for our clients and become more efficient ourselves. The problem is just because an agent has access to AI today doesn't mean they're actually leveraging it. So something that you can work into interviewing agents, ask them how they are leveraging AI and technology to make the process better for you as the client. At the same time, just because an agent has access to AI and all of this new tech doesn't mean they should be forcing it on their clients. Now, we should certainly be using it behind the scenes to make the process overall more effective and beneficial to our clients, but we shouldn't be forcing them to do things like online dashboards, e-signatures, and follow the timeline of the transaction online. Some of our clients aren't even using email or text messaging. So make sure that you're working with an agent who's going to meet you where you are. If you don't want to use technology, they shouldn't be forcing it on you, even if they have access to it themselves. At the end of the day, technology should make this experience easier, not more complicated. Lie number 4, I have to renovate my home before selling. Now, this is something that I see costing homeowners thousands of dollars every single year. Do some improvements make sense? Absolutely. Fresh paint, professional cleaning, touch-up repairs, light landscaping, curb appeal, those things can all have a great return and take minimal time. But I've also seen homeowners spend $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 on projects that they're never going to see a return on. So before you spend a single penny, make sure you have a conversation with your real estate agent about what your ultimate goals are. Do you want to maximize your sales price? Do you want to sell as quickly as possible? Do you want to avoid endless showings? Do you want to sell the property completely as is? Every seller has a different set of priorities, and the strategy should really be built around those goals and not a generic checklist of upgrades. Sometimes the smartest move is to make those improvements. Sometimes the smartest move is to price the property accordingly and let the next buyer make those improvements themselves. The key is to understand which projects are going to be worthwhile before you start cutting checks. Lie number 3 is real estate agents aren't worth the money. Now, this one's not entirely a lie. There are a lot of mediocre agents out there, and some of them are outright terrible. 84% of real estate agents last year didn't transact on a single property. So that goes to show you how many active agents are actually productive and great at their jobs. Now, there's a never-ending stream of new agents entering the market every single year. And then you have this collection of phenomenal agents who are trying to generate these long-term, lifelong relationships with their clients and continue to provide value long after the real estate transaction is over. The confusion comes from, and the mistake comes from, people assuming that these agents are all one and the same. Here's what I really hate seeing out there, and this seems to be an endless cycle, and the reason that the society at large thinks that all real estate agents are bad. Johnny homeowner goes out and checks out his Zillow Zestimate, which is a made-up number by an algorithm, and then he decides that, the home sold across the street for X amount, it was upgraded and all that, but he put in a Patriots-themed man cave in the detached shed and decided his home is now worth $200,000 more than the upgraded home across the street. So he takes that number that he thinks he's going to get for his property and goes out and finds the cheapest possible agent he could ever work with, or the first friend or family member he runs into with their real estate license. Lists the property with them, has a terrible experience. The home sits on the market for a year and he gets even less than he would have if he had gone on the market for the market rate anyway. He ultimately decides that all real estate agents are terrible and next time he's just going to sell the home himself. Next listing, he goes on the market himself as a for sale by owner, ultimately has a terrible experience doing that, and proceeds to hire the cheapest agent he could possibly find, and the cycle continues and continues. What really needs to happen is people just need to be more open to actually interviewing highly reviewed, established agents that have a great reputation in their markets instead of just going with that easy friend of the family or the agent that charges the least for commission that they can possibly find. Because a great real estate agent can absolutely be worth every single penny and then some, but the mediocre and terrible agents out there can cost you far more than the commission that they're charging. Lie number 2 is that it's better to wait until the rates come down. And for the right person, this might not be a lie. But the truth is, no one really knows where rates are going to go. Not me, not your lender, not economists. Could they go up? Absolutely. Could they stay the same? Absolutely. Could they go down? Absolutely. The problem is, while you're waiting for rates to change, home prices are also changing. And if rates do come down, that just means that a lot more buyers are going to be entering the market, creating more competition and creating an upwards pressure on prices. Now, that doesn't mean you should buy right this second. It just means that you should be making your personal decision based on your goals, your finances, and what you can comfortably afford, and not just hoping to time the market, because the truth is, no one can time the market. The number one lie I'm seeing right now is we are waiting for the inventory to improve. And it's probably more of a mistake than an outright lie, or you could say that these people are just lying to themselves. But basically what's happening is, people aren't necessarily in a rush to put offers in on homes. They're just casually looking through the market, waiting until more and more houses that they would consider actually start populating online. And there's nothing wrong with that, but oftentimes they're telling their agent, look, we're not aggressively searching. I'm not gonna get pre-approved right now. I'm not gonna get my home ready to list right now. We're just sort of casually looking. Totally fine. And what happens is the perfect home for them, this unicorn property, will hit the market, and then suddenly they have to scramble. So they call me or they call their agent and say, hey, we really want to put an offer in here. And my first question has to be, okay, are you pre-approved? Nope. Okay, do you have the home listed? Nope. Okay, do you have it ready to list? Do you have photos taken? Do you have a pricing strategy? Nope, nope, nope. So what happens is these people are now having to do in 48 hours what they should have been doing for the last 3 months, and they're not likely to get an offer accepted that's contingent on a home sale, at least in this current market that we're in right now, if the property hasn't been sitting there for a month or two. So now they have to rush to get all of these things done behind the scenes, prep their home, rush around, get the kids out of the house, clean their property up, take photos, get all the listing information to the agent. And they're having to do this in virtually zero time. So instead of doing this, if you take nothing else away from this video, just remember this. Preparation is what creates opportunity. Getting ready to buy doesn't mean that you absolutely have to buy tomorrow. Getting pre-approved doesn't mean you have to commit to anything. Having a pricing strategy and photos taken of your current home doesn't mean you have to list it right this second. It simply means that when the right property comes up, you are ready to act instead of reacting and scrambling to get everything ready. The buyers who are consistently winning properties are not the ones with the most money. They are the ones who are the most prepared. So to close out here, most of the expensive mistakes that I see people making aren't happening because those people aren't smart. It's because they are making the biggest financial decision of their lives based on information that's outdated, inaccurate, oversimplified, or just doesn't apply to their situation at all. Guys, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate anywhere in the greater Boston or South Shore area of Massachusetts, feel free to give us a call. We are happy to start with a casual conversation and take it from there. And if you're not local, hopefully these videos are giving you a little bit more confidence to ask better questions, make better decisions wherever you are. With that said, thank you guys so much for your time watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please do me a favor and like, share, subscribe. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.